giant rise, catch the demons by surprise.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, Jay-Z here, and this is Flashpoint Radio. Thank you for joining me. It is Tuesday, May 14th, 2013, and we've got a lot of White House turmoil on the program this evening. I can't remember, obviously I'm a younger man, but I can't remember a time when there was this much going on as far as controversies surrounding the White House, the executive branch of our federal government. And the one thing I want people to remember is this should not detract from the focus we need to have on the entire federal government and the corruptness in all three chambers of our government, all three branches of our government. But we're going to get right to it this evening, and we're going to start with Benghazi. This is from last week, Washington Times. White House struggles to respond to new Benghazi revelations. And while the revelations were a stand down was ordered. Basically, there was support that could have made it to Benghazi, could have made it to that safe house in time, but they were told to stand down. They were given the order to stand down. That is a form of a false flag, knowing that an imminent action is inevitable and not taking the precautions that are able to be taken to prevent it from happening. I don't believe we'll ever likely see much out of this, but Dick Morris thinks differently. Dick Morris says Benghazi, beginning of end of Barack Obama and the administration. I might remind people who say, Benghazi, we have to focus on Benghazi. It's going to be that man died. You know, those men died over there. While it's murder, I believe it is. It's murder by inaction. We have to remember that people have died many times before, many years, many instances over the years. People have died because of government corruption or government ineptness. Do we not remember Fast and the Furious? Daily Caller from last year, last June. Border Patrol Union demands Holder's resignation over Fast and Furious. And it says, goes on to say that they were joining 129 House Republicans, 5 Senate Republicans, and 2 sitting GOP governors in demanding Holder's resignation. That was last year. What has happened? Men died. Border Patrol Agent Brian Terry died by a gun that was allowed to be purchased by drug cartels, by our ATF, by our government. One man's resigned, but has Eric Holder? No. Has he been called upon a grand jury? No. He hasn't. Why? Because this scandal, as most scandals, cross party lines. Therefore, they just need to keep the ball in the air until something else comes along and they can distract from it and just say, okay, people, move along. There's a new controversy, which is what is happening now. My dear, we've got this from AP News. Government probe obtains wide swath of AP phone records. Well, it comes out that the Justice Department went back and looked at AP reporters' phone records and communications records. And it turns out they used a very large net, kind of like a drag net. You know, a large net. So they got a lot of things that they weren't supposed to get. But yeah, so reporters were being spied on by the executive branch, the Justice Department. Matt Drudge, from his Twitter account, warns us, warning to reporters and sources, assume all your communications are being monitored. Time to move back to the parking garage. A reference to Deep Throat and the Watergate scandal. Yes, everything's being monitored. Now, I don't believe that's a reason to step back and get off of all of these systems of monitoring. I believe it's a reason to talk even louder. Show them that we do have more numbers than them, that we are winning. But yeah, so it turns out the AP is being investigated. They're being spied on, illegally wiretapped by the Justice Department. And Eric Holder has responded from NBC Politics, NBCnews.com. Holder addresses AP leaks investigation, announces I.R.S. probe. Holder said decisions in that investigation, meaning the Associated Press investigation, were being made by Deputy Attorney General James Cole because he had recused himself last year to a congressional committee. So he says, nah, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. If I don't hear about it, it didn't happen in my job. What happens if a CEO does that to one of their top brass? What happens if a general hears something or pretends not to hear something and then they let their number two go down? This should be a warning to all the number twos out there in all government agencies. You are expendable. And when they give you extra responsibility, there's a good chance that they're putting weights on your shoulders so they can throw you in a river when they're done with you. Because they won't have mercy on you because you're just a lackey who serves whatever purpose they need. So you really don't matter in the end game. And this article, of course, said, announces I.R.S. probe. This is possibly the scandal that might lead to some more serious action because it is getting bigger by the minute. From ABC News, I.R.S. IG report targeting conservatives began in 2010. Turns out the I.R.S. started targeting conservative groups, mainly nonprofits, and asking for a ton of extra materials for them to produce in order to give them their stamp of approval. Turns out they didn't just do it to conservative groups. They did it to groups that generally didn't like what the government was doing. So it spanned both sides of the aisle because some groups that don't call themselves Republicans and don't side with the Republicans were targeted as well. But mainly Tea Party groups, at least that's what the media wants to put across. But this has been going on since 2010. And it keeps going. CNSnews.com, I.R.S. won't say if it will comply with congressional demand for all communication and names involved in discriminating against Tea Party groups. The I.R.S. said they haven't responded to Congress's demands to turn over records. Well, the I.R.S. is unconstitutional, remember? If you could ever get a Republican to admit that, they won't, you would understand that they will never, the government, the federal government, Congress will never, as long as it is in its form as it is now, will never put that much scrutiny on the I.R.S. because the I.R.S. is the bagman. The I.R.S. is the stick-up man for the mob. The I.R.S. is the enforcer that goes to that corner shop and extorts protection money for the Gambino family. Do you get it? They were created and from the beginning have been illegal, but we've allowed them incrementally to creep more and more into our lives, where next year they will be looking at all of our personal health records. Are we starting to get it? Guns get taken away by doctors. The I.R.S. gets a hold of our medical data. Goes all the way around. Total control. Full spectrum dominance, as Alex Jones would like to say. They're making their statements. They're making their places of guard around us because they feel that if they get these in place, that they can move in on us, move in on freedom, move in on everything that America was founded on. From Politico, I.R.S. head Stephen Miller. Mistakes were made. This is the mindset of a government agent. This is the mindset of someone who believes in central planning. Those in power, those in charge of doing the central planning, well, they're bound to make mistakes because nobody's perfect. No one said, no one will ever admit perfection, even though that's what they're striving for, but mistakes were made. So if you work for the government and you say you extort the wrong people or you do something that really compromises your wielding of power, you can just call them mistakes. And most likely, as long as you scapegoat someone below you, get away with it. And scapegoat, I mean the person below this man, comes to us from thecollegefix.com. University to bestow face of I.R.S. scandal with honorary tribute. Lois Lerner, director for the I.R.S. Exempt Organization Division, which is the division that was in charge of looking into nonprofits, is slated to deliver Western New England University School of Law commencement address and be given the university's president's medallion. That's what our colleges are doing. They're appointing biased members of our government's president's medallions. President's medallions. And finally, on the same topic, this has a St. Louis twist, and I love it. Larry Connors from KMOV4 here in St. Louis, his personal Facebook page, shortly after I did my April 2012 interview with President Obama, my wife, friends, and some viewers suggested that I might need to watch out for the IRS. I don't accept conspiracy theories, but I do know that almost immediately after the interview, the IRS started hammering me. Read what he says. It's amazing. You know, he questioned him. He didn't go at him very hard, but he did question him on spending, on the hypocrisy of going on vacation after vacation when the American public is struggling. So I give you credit, Larry Connors. Big ups. Now follow through. File lawsuit against the IRS. Why are we one Tea Party group is threatening to file a lawsuit. File lawsuits. Are you serious? What are they you gonna wait for your payoff? Is that what you're looking for? And I think that's what it is. These people that know that it's a corrupt system, they're waiting for their payoff. They're going to look the other way as long as they get what they want. The Republicans, they know that they're going to need some scandal covering in the future. So they're going to probably let all this slide. But there is one option. And I had this theory before Barack Obama got elected. And I said he will get elected. And I believe that he was a sort of self-destruct button that they could always have if they needed it. He'll get elected. He's a supremely popular president to those that support him. They are diehard. They would probably do anything for him. And now he has all these scandals. And if you're looking to get the Republicans behind the police state, well, why don't you get the most popular Democratic president in, I guess Bill Clinton, but at least diehard popular president impeached? What do you think that will do to his supporters, who many of which are militant? It might cause social unrest. Social unrest, which will need a police response, which would force the federal government, the Republicans everywhere, to say, we don't want this police state. In order to keep this in check, we can do this civilly. Watch for that. Who knows? The president may be the self-destruct button. An impeached president, this impeached president, could cause social unrest in this country. I think it's just downright possible. He should have been impeached. He should have never been elected. Why has he gotten to this point? Maybe because he was destined to fail in a big way and destined to bring the entire system toppling on top of him so they can rebuild. What we have to do is watch for that. Spread the truth in your family first. Make sure your children, if you have them, pass this knowledge on. After that, go outside and shout to the ends of the earth about the truth. We need you. We're going to need good people. We're going to need to turn this to Renaissance and not Dark Ages. Jay-Z signing off for Flashpoint Radio, saying God bless and keep your eyes to the sky.
Radio says, may the powers of darkness tremble as I